I think we're really excited to do this and have our questions answered and address things that we might not have addressed before. So I think that this is a good opportunity to kind of bring light to situations that we want more information on.
Great. It's great to be here. I appreciate all of you being here. I think it's an excellent job with respect to your initiative. You know, I think student voice, and the more you know about what's going on around you, the better it is for everybody. This process unto itself, I'm sure you guys have learned a lot about, because it's not just putting someone in front of a camera. I think, you know, any good production, there's days and days and hours of planning. And that same concept goes into running a school district and running a school and being a teacher. There's so much that goes on beyond what you see in a classroom or even what you see in the hallways. Everything from a pen or a pencil to how we move in the hallways and the whole tenor and mindset of the building. So it's an honor to be here. I'm excited to be your guinea pig for your town hall meetings. And I'm open to any questions you have. So I was curious to understand what you mean by that, because we did do new flooring at Wingdale, Dover, middle school, high school. We actually did new pads at a couple of the buildings too, because they look terrible. What do you mean? There's like dead spots? I was curious what you meant by that.
There's like numerous dead spots in the floors, and whenever we're practicing, the floors are like way too slippery. There's been like countless times we have to end practice early because like we physically cannot like practice on the courts.
Okay, so this is the first I've heard about it.
Yeah.
And I guess as advocates and student leaders, it's really important to communicate this to people. And then sometimes people follow through, sometimes they forget about it. And if you feel like you're not being heard, go to the next person in line. And that goes with anything, you know, whether it's go to Ms. Valdez, then go to Mr. O'Connor, and then go to me. So I'll follow up with these dead spots and the slippery floors. Is it middle school and high school?
Yeah, it's both.
Both? Okay. We'll definitely follow up on both of those, and at a minimum, get back to you guys and tell you either that it's gonna get fixed or why it's not fixed already. Because we deserve the best, period. And if another school district has the best floors in the world, why shouldn't Dover? And that's always been my philosophy as an educator wherever I've been. It shouldn't be the zip code of what your school looks like. It should be that's what our children deserve. So
Yeah.
I appreciate that
Thank you.
feedback for sure. That's what I mean by climate control. It's an HVAC, AC unit that would be central air, if you will. And it would be throughout the hallways and the buildings. And there are some spots in this building that have that, but not all across the building. But it's something that is on the table for discussion. But again, it's prioritizing your budget and figuring out how we can afford. That's millions of dollars to do. But definitely worth it, because it does get hot and it is a nice difference. So if we're climate controlled, I've been in buildings that are climate controlled, we're not right now. So we're doing the best that we can with fans and being strategic with the air conditioners and making sure that our system doesn't overload. But I will tell you that it is definitely in the back of my mind, and I've shared it with my cabinet and also the board, who would love to do it as well, which is a huge expense to eventually go climate control. I don't know if that's gonna happen in your tenure as a Dover school district student, but it's definitely something that we deserve, but it's a heavy cost, and it's something that we have to plan out and save for sure.
As another question, Kevin Martin sent in a question. He's a sophomore. He asked when the water is going to be fixed, because it's been a couple of years. And so is there any updates with that?
There is. So the water issue hit Dover a few years ago. Apparently there was some concerns with the water, and primarily at the middle school and the high school, which triggered the high school and the middle school to shut everything down and go to bubblers and this kind of stuff. And I actually took some notes, because one of our students is doing a research project on the water, and I spoke to our engineers last week, and I spoke with the Department of Conservation and Environmental, the DOC and DOE, about what happened. Because there was a lot of like finger pointing about why it's like this. So there wasn't anyone saying it was my fault. But what apparently happened is, there was a EPA advisory that, all public facilities had to do like a testing of their water. And this is a little technical, but they said if you have 70 parts per million above with respect to this item in the water, you have to then fix your water. Now, New York State said, we don't wanna use 70 million, we wanna use 10 parts per million. So they actually got a little tighter, New York State. Now, Dover was a little bit over 10. So that means we had to shut everything down, middle school, high school. And, you know, fast forward to where we are today, we've been working with EPA, we've been working with our engineers about how to filter the bad parts out of our water. And as I speak, there's a filtration system being created and being fabricated, which will then go in the back of our building. It's actually a twofold system, meaning the water will come in one and it'll go through another filtering system, and then it'll come into our building. We're hoping that that is all fabricated and on our campus by the summer, so in the fall, we can have sort of a normal drinking system. So, you know, the community and the school district supported a number of capital projects over the last couple of years. It doesn't happen like that.
No.
The first issue is the roofs. So the roofs in Wingdale and Dover and this building needed to get fixed. I don't know if you've noticed, but when it rains, there's garbage cans all over the hallways because there's leaks. We are in the process of getting an engineer to come in and fix those, hopefully over the summer. The process to do that is you have to bid out with contractors and you have to examine what the problem is, and then contractors bid on the cost, and then we have to send it up to the state education department, who then needs to give us approval for permits and things like that. So it's a long process, and that's one project. We're at the point where state ed gave us the thumbs up, and we're at the point where we have a contractor after all the bids, and we're gonna hopefully start on the roofs sometime in the late spring and in the summer, so they'll be ready to roll for this fall of 2023. Now, the exciting projects, and now for me that's exciting because we need a solid roof, but the bigger excitement is really on our courtyards. You probably have noticed in the middle school, there's like a big mural on one of the walls. We're gonna be redoing those courtyards, and the courtyards are gonna be more of like a teaching and learning space. There's gonna be like concrete walkways, there's gonna be like different trees out there. It's gonna be really a beautiful like park setting, both in the high school and in the middle school. There's been a number of committees with student input and staff input, drawings, renderings, but that's not up at state ed yet. We're waiting for the engineers to finish that, and that's a couple of years out. The other exciting project is the cafeteria. The cafeteria is gonna get completely redone, and it's gonna look like a 2023,
And is that
2024.
happening this summer, the cafeteria?
No, that, again, the only one that's happening, and again, it's a
It's
process.
just the roof.
Is the roofs right now.
Okay.
So the cafeteria, again, is a couple of years out, you know, money was allocated, you have to finish the renderings, you have to get a bid on all the construction, engineers, and then state ed approval. It's a process, it doesn't happen like overnight. You know, for example, I wanted a shed in my own house. I had control of like, when I buy the
Yeah.
shed, who digs the footings for the shed.
Who
and you
builds
just do
that,
it.
yeah.
Here, it's a whole different public process. But the cafeteria is one of the capital projects in the next couple of years that we're ready to do. We're gonna take the stage down, we're gonna make some, you know, senior sort of spaces, and again, I apologize, it may not be in your tenure as students, but you'll be able to come back and see it. One of the other projects is the locker rooms. The locker rooms are really, really, really old, and they need revamping. We wanna create some team spaces, so a coach can come in with some cool benches, and the coach can come in and do some plays and do some work with the kids in the locker room, not in the changing area, but an actual like teaching space for the coaches and the athletes to do some halftime stuff, as opposed to, I don't know where you go now at
Middle
halftime.
school locker rooms.
And you're just in the locker room itself, so picture like a teaching space in the locker room. So we're revamping the whole locker room process. Again, that has to go to a bid, engineer, state education, and that's a couple of years out as well, so.
Would want to know about it.
Well, I mean, 2 years ago, when the district went to the community for these capital projects, it was well advertised, and the planning and the vision for these projects were put out to the community for a vote and a thumbs up. Since then, there's been some small committees and things like that. We could bring it back up to the school community and say, hey, just a reminder, we're doing these things, but it's a few years out. It's things that are in the planning, and, you know, we've done a lot of things today, such as, you know, whether it's building beautification, whether it's different programs. You guys probably noticed, you have a lot more encores, the middle school and the high school. We now have a STEAM program where back in the day, you had in the middle school, you get to high school, you got nothing.
Yeah.
So we've added a lot of different sequences of our encore classes, even our DCC classes, even our E&L classes. So we've done a lot of things today, but we can periodically say, hey, remember, we got these capital projects coming, we can definitely look into that and see how.
Because as someone who was doing online learning for like 2 years during the pandemic, coming back here in my junior year, there were a lot of changes that I wasn't expecting, which I feel like we advocate a bit more about these changes. I feel like more people would be more excited about coming to school. Because I feel like we hear too many kids in the hallway go, oh, it's Dover, whatever.
Yep.
But if we tell them that all these exciting changes are happening, a lot more kids would be interested in coming to school and seeing what's down the road, I feel.
I hope this is a.
So racism and microaggressions have been prevalent throughout multiple grade levels. Though students of color are aware of the signs placed throughout the school that encourage equality, they have been highly ineffective. Even with the efforts put forth for equality with the rising population of students of color, teachers and educators still seem to be lost when presented with these situations in real life. My question is, how do you plan to create a safer and racially well-educated community for students of color?
So it's a great question, and Jessica and I and Ms. Valdez last week had a really, really good conversation, I thought, correct?
Okay.
So that is not a one-person job. That is definitely a village as it relates to inclusivity and equity. At the end of the day, for me at least, it's about coexisting peacefully, because right now, the political climate, the social climate, whether it's social media, whether it's people's opinions, whether it's who you voted for, whether it's what you look like, for me as a school society, it's about coexisting peacefully. I have very, very good friends who have different belief systems that I have. It doesn't mean we can't be very, very good friends. We spoke about the hunger for the students to have these conversations in classrooms. Now, some adults are comfortable with those conversations and can navigate those conversations. Some are not as comfortable. And it's not an easy discussion to be had by all in a classroom. I've had a lot of those conversations with children in my classroom as a teacher. I was an assistant principal, district administrator, and superintendent. And even when I came to Dover, I had a lot of those types of conversations when I first got here, because I can see the hunger from a lot of students wanting to at least have these discussions. And we've had discussions at the board level. Students came to the board meetings. I have discussions in my office. Last year, we did a lot of professional development around this topic, where we had a couple of professionals come in and talk about difficult conversations, talk about equity, talk about working with different types of youngsters, different types of needs. And we actually took that to the next level, where we invited teachers who were interested in a 10-week workshop. And we actually got 10 teachers who were interested in having this conversation. And a lot of it was about how you do it with students. Because if you don't have control of your class, it's going to become chaotic. If you don't have a relationship with the students, it's going to get out of control. You're not going to be able to talk about race or class or sexism or religion or politics if you don't have a good handle on your class and a good relationship. In addition, to being comfortable with that discussion. So we have been doing a lot of professional development. It takes more than a sign on the wall. It takes more than a monthly theme, but all of that goes into creating a culture. And it's not just from the administration, it's from all. It's from students, it's from, if you see something, say something, and if you say something and nothing is done, say something to somebody else. And that's my expectation, to coexist peacefully across the board, regardless of what you believe, regardless of what you look like, period. And that is a process, and it doesn't change overnight. The beauty is Dover is small enough, and I've seen so many students ask those questions and be part of the conversation, whether it's looking at Spirit Days or National Days and just the expansion of our programs, but it doesn't get fixed overnight. And if I had the magic wand, and I said this to you last week, to fix it immediately, we'd be like billionaires. You know, there's always gonna be people that, you know, wanna push their own agenda or have that own feeling in their heart. But in school, there's no place for it. And
All right, I think that concludes our town hall.
all right.